this was your life, now.
Yes.
You know, are you?
And then if I get there and then I like hate it, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
I guess we
but
came here.
for sure. Now I can go home.
Right.
There's no question.
I know.
It's
Beautiful.
Yes. It is.
But it's all
All
right.
right. Welcome to the December 16th, 2025 regular session of the Board of Education. This is Kristen Pappas, Vice President of the Board of Education speaking. Thank you for attending in person or through Zoom. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we would like to have a moment of silence in remembrance of the tragic losses that have taken place over the last few days worldwide. Thank you. Due notice of this meeting has been served to each member of the Board of Education pursuant to the requirements of law. Tina, will you please take attendance? Present.
Present. Present. Present. Present. Present. Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
May I have a motion to close public session and open the public hearing?
Second. So moved. Second.
All in favor?
So if I could just mention about it's on our safety, district-wide safety plan. Remember, we had posted it up on our website to include the Deschelles law, the new requirement. And I don't believe we received any, none whatsoever. So that's on the agenda for this evening for that to be adopted. Yeah,
Let me just-
Any discussion?
Yeah. So are there any questions from the Board of Education on the safety plan?
None. No.
Are there any citizens' questions or comments on the safety plan at this time? May I have a motion to close the public hearing and open the regular session?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. All right. May I have a motion that the Board of Education accepts the agenda for the December 16th, 2025 regular session as presented?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Ms. DeCapua, would you mind giving us the treasurer's report?
Certainly. This is the treasurer's report for October 2025. We had a cash balance at the beginning of the month of $45,833,649. During October, we had receipts totaling $20,943,976. We had disbursements in October of $11,998,094, leaving us with a closing balance of $54,779,631. Thank you.
And then, Ms. Cherney, if you could give us the student member of the board update?
Yeah, sure. So I will start with the primary schools. So in November, the kindergartners made balloons to mimic the Thanksgiving Day parade. They had a lot of fun with that. And they also did Thanksgiving service learning. So basically they did chores that like they earned money so they could buy pajamas, and the pajamas went to children in need. And Scholastic actually matched a book for every pajama pair that was donated. And then all the children created bookmarks for all of the books. So all of that went to Children in Need. And then in December, they are doing something called Traveling Around the World. So they're learning all about different cultures and how they celebrate holidays in December. And the same with traditions. So they're learning about how their own families celebrate their own holidays. They're reading books. In the elementary schools, the second graders attended an assembly and learned how dogs are trained as service animals. The third graders visited the innovation lab to conduct a cloud in a bottle experiment. The fourth graders performed and are prepared for a winter concert and art show. We also had a lot of concerts in the past week. And the fifth graders visited the middle school to learn about all their language options that they can take. At the middle and high school, winter sports just started. I know we have a big participation in those. I believe there's a basketball game happening right now. Winter Wonderland is this Friday, so juniors and seniors are buying their tickets. As I said, there was a lot of concerts that happened at the high school and at the elementary and primary schools this week. So we have our Triumph students, which is the Music Honor Society. It's a lot of volunteer work that they do to help those run. And there was a lot of field trips this week. I know there was a Cradle of Aviation Museum trip. Long Island History took a trip today. So that's also happening with the next week.
Thank you. And then Dr. Sinha will provide our superintendent update.
Thank you, Ms. Pappas. I wanted to, first of all, Kayla, that was a wonderful report. It really showcased all the wonderful experiences our students are having from primary all the way to the high school. So thank you for that. I do have Ms. Kaufman here, our Director of Literacy. She will give the board an update regarding our literacy review team meeting that we held last week.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. Good evening, everyone. Before I give the literacy review team update, I just want to say that I just attended the Literary Circle's 30th anniversary of their winter solstice poetry reading. It was such a great turnout for a cold New York night. And it was wonderful to see the students bringing their favorite poets, published poetry, and also their own poetry. So it was beautiful. Is there a clicker?
Yes. Is it by me? Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Thank you. So the literacy review team met last week on Tuesday, December 9th, and I'm happy to share that we had another productive and exciting meeting. The team of 26, comprised of general and special education teachers and administrators across K-12, has been hard at work since our October 21st meeting, where members began actively researching their specific areas of focus. And Dr. Bowman and I actively reviewed each group's note-taking and flow of ideas in our shared documentation space as that was happening. And as a result, many meaningful conversations and continued research transpired between those meetings. The purpose of last week's meeting was really for each focus group, including the curriculum group, the MTSS and assessment group, and the professional development and communication group, is to share summary reports related to their specific focus areas and to review the 5 primary literacy resources through each group's lens to identify key strengths and needs for each resource. The curriculum group researched and curated 12 resources to review. After additional research, conversations with colleagues in other districts, vendor discussions, and exploration of samples and digital materials, the list of resources was narrowed to 5 for deeper exploration, as noted by the green check marks. Vendors from 5 primary resources sent a large number of materials for review. Let's just say that the Learning Commons in the middle school was set up like a bookstore with a wide range of materials available for everybody to explore. So teachers and administrators within each focus group had the opportunity to explore each resource through structured rotations using their specific focus group lenses. I would like to give a big thank you and kudos to each focus group who meticulously used the guiding questions shown here to facilitate their discussions. They also took copious notes on each resource and generated thoughtful and purposeful questions. In between last week's meeting and our January 13th meeting, each group will continue to explore the 5 resources using digital demo accounts that were provided by all the vendors. They will continue to use the guiding questions as they deepen their exploration and add to their list of questions. I will be sending those questions to the vendors ahead of time so they can prepare to address them at our next meeting. Those vendor representatives from each resource will join us to answer those questions and any additional questions that should arise and explain the resources in more detail. After that, we're going to collect the feedback from the literacy review team and select resources to pilot beginning in February. It has been an exciting process that has been truly collaborative and reflective of our shared commitment to making thoughtful and informed decisions that best support our students, teachers, and district. Thank you for your time this evening.
So, Lauren, for the next meeting for the 13th, from now till the 13th, they'll be reviewing all the materials, and then those vendors will come on the 13th to meet with the team.
Yes, I've been in touch with all of the vendors and have had lengthy conversations with all of them and have formed really great relationships where they have given us a plethora of physical materials and also very generously have given us a ton of demo accounts for the teachers to look at because although there are a lot of physical materials, there's actually much more to even explore digitally.
Thank you. Any questions for Lauren? Oh,
Can I ask like one quick question? When the teachers are like looking or they've made some narrowing of choices from the larger list, can you just give maybe like a list of like what they've been looking for in those programs? Like why have those programs been narrowed down? Like what was inside those programs that made them make the list? I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yes, I want to start by saying that this is a very heavy lift because these resources are very comprehensive, every single one of them, and they're each so unique and none are created equal. And what I would say is we're looking at the CASDA review very, very closely. Those 5 key recommendations are really at the forefront. Keeping that we are streamlining our curriculum as being the number one item for the teachers to be thinking about, because that is something the teachers have been talking about for a long time. We have the big 6 skills and competencies as noted in the Science of Reading Literacy brief. So it was really important. We know that we have a strong phonological awareness resources in place already, and our data shows that we are strong in that area. But one of the recommendations for continued growth is to make sure that we're bridging phonics instruction with comprehension. So that was one of the big factors in deciding how to narrow down resources, is to make sure that there are all of those components that address those big 6 skills and competencies, but also address writing. It was a very interesting time because teachers were coming up to me and they were all saying different things about all the different resources, different strengths, different areas they'd like to see more of. And I think what we realized during our time together was that there is no one resource that's perfect, right? We're still going to need to make it fit for Garden City. And we ended the meeting by saying that we have to select a resource that's right for our students, right for our teachers. And we will be, what I am extremely impressed with is the commitment and the research our teachers have done to make sure that those resources are aligned with what I just mentioned.
I have to tell you, in looking at last week, when they met, the teachers are asking the right questions. So already there, with each one of the resources, like what Lauren said, there's not a perfect resource, but they have compiled questions for each one of them that I think the vendors are going to address. Alice?
So what we're also looking at is the balance between prescriptive and, or like scripted programs versus teacher autonomy and independence, and where do we want to see the resources that we are adopting fall on that continuum. Also, how does each resource align with our MTSS plan? So what tiered instructional materials are there already? That would be helpful to make it so that we're really working within our plan, but strengthening it at the same time. What assessments are part of the resource, and how do they align with what we already have in place? Are there assessments that we would want to adopt from the resources that would then allow us to let go of something else that we have if it's norms based? What does it look like? Some of the resources have communication templates as part of what they offer, so that at the beginning of a unit there's maybe a template on that could go home so parents can support the work that's happening in the classroom, but it's packaged in the same way, so the same words are used, so that that heavy lift maybe isn't so much on the teachers to create on their own. And we really wanted to make sure that for each of the different groups that are part of the focus groups, there were parts of them that were addressed. And so each of the groups were looking through those lenses. And then with the next iteration, there will be a more formal rubric to be utilized to determine, with a more clinical eye rather than, oh, I like this one because of the graphics. While the graphics are important and the way the materials are presented is important, we want to make sure that we're being as objective and clinically focused on what the best resource is going to be for our district, our teachers, and ultimately our kids.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Are we also looking for a program that is knowledge building in its focus? So that they're reading,
Yes.
you're always reading to learn with all of that work.
Several of the resources, if not all of them, are heavy on the knowledge building piece.
Okay.
And heavy on content area instruction being integrated, particularly science and social studies. And that's another factor. Joanna Rogosic, our science coordinator, is there on the team. And I love that because she brings that lens for our scope and sequence for content area. And she was able to look through that lens of which resources are aligned with our scope and sequence. They're not all perfectly aligned, which we wouldn't expect because these resources are used on a national level. But yes, I think that the teachers were really excited about that. And to reiterate what Alice said, some of these resources have a lot of bells and whistles that go with it. And what we wanted to make sure in that last meeting is really stick to those key recommendations and our needs, because sometimes, those bells and whistles can dazzle us, the bright colored books and all of those things. But really, when you look with close detail, with a sharp lens on some of these resources, we can understand as practitioners what is best for us.
I just had a question, 2 questions. Is the committee, the focus groups, are they able to speak not only to the vendors, but other teachers who are actually using these curriculums and the materials and the resources in their classrooms? And does that conversation happen before you choose which programs you're piloting? And also, how many programs do you pilot? This is my first time here, so.
So I'm going to answer your first question first, which is, have we been talking to people? Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you how committed each focus group is. Before our first meeting, they were already doing research, asking colleagues around the island what they're using, what's making an impact. Our administrators, they were doing research within their groups that, our principals, our coordinators, they've been having these conversations. When I go to my ELA coordinator meetings through BOCES, that's all I talk about. I go around asking Every single person, what are you using? What are the student outcomes? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? I want to hear everything. And they do. They tell me everything, my colleagues. And that's so helpful. We all have to work together as a team on this because this adopting a primary resource is a big deal. It's really important. So that's your first question, I think. We're going to continue to do that, and we won't stop because we want to make the best decision, and we want input as much as possible. Even people who aren't on the committee, I've been asking different teachers, around the island, different teachers within our own community who aren't on the committee. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? So it's important. We need as much input as possible. I'm sorry, what your second question?
It was, yeah, how many do you?
Oh,
pilot?
yes. So I think that's still up for discussion. I think we've narrowed it down to 5 strong resources. They're all a little bit different. They're all unique. They're all impactful and have made, and my colleagues have shown me that their districts have made significant gains. But yet different districts have different priorities and different needs and different populations and demographics. So we have to take that into consideration as well. I think our teachers, our administrators know our students really well. I think what's important for this process when we think about the focus group that's focusing on the PD and the communication is I think every single one of those committee members say job embedded professional learning, because whatever resource we decide on together collectively, it's going to take an enormous amount of work to work together to lift that professional learning, to build teacher capacity, to make sure everyone's calm and capable and confident in implementing this resource. So that's going to be, I think, the bigger deal in all of this because there's so much goodness to every single resource that's there.
We don't know yet. I think after the January meeting, when we just, then we'll know how many will be piloted.
Well, I was just curious more. I've never seen a program piloted. So,
Mhm.
do you do 3? Do you do 1? Like how I was
Yeah.
just generally speaking,
Yeah.
how that works.
So the reason why we want to make sure that we have a rubric to review each of
Love
them
a
at the
rubric.
next.
That's
Yeah,
great.
you gotta love a rubric. A good rubric is worth its weight in gold. That will help inform. So you don't want to, if there's a tie and you thought you were going in at 3, but now there's a tie and it would be better to do 4, you have to adjust. If 4 was what we were looking for and the first 3 are front runners and then the 4th one dips down to like nobody liked it, then we wouldn't keep it just for the sake of,
Right.
we were committed to 4. But the other part of what you were asking is seeing other teachers teach the different resources. Once we have the pilot underway, the teachers who are doing the pilot and a team of administrators will visit different districts. If one seems to be inching forward, this is our favored, or these are the 2 favorites, they're neck and neck. We'll look to see what it looks like in action in other districts and see from them in a much more controlled way, similar to what's happened here, where we've had folks come and visit us for illustrative math, where they spend time in classrooms and debrief with teachers who are using it to talk about, well, what was the implementation process like? What professional development did you need to create on your own, or was provided by the resource? And ask all of those questions from the folks in the field once our teachers who are using the pilot have a taste of what it is. Otherwise, it's kind of ephemeral and not real to them. And by then they'll have some context to answer those questions or to really understand when they're talking about it.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Continue with my report. All right, at the last Board of Education meeting, we had some questions that I wanted to follow up on. One was around, the incoming for next year, the 9th graders. Our current 8th grade class is a larger size, and how are we preparing for that? And that process we had started actually last year. We knew that this cohort is a larger cohort. So we're looking at staffing, class size. We actually had our first budget meeting with Mr. Steingrubner, and he's well aware of it, as is Ms. McLaughlin, in terms of class sizes, and Dr. Bowman working on, like, do we need additional courses and whatnot. So that's in the works. So we've been preparing for it. There was another question around opportunities for students to go outside for recess, which is really part of home base, the 20 minutes. So Mr. Escobar has developed a plan, and so students will have the opportunity to go outside on a rotating basis. And one of the things that we had met with our students at a roundtable, it was, I would say, last month, where students had recommended, can we open up the doors to the courtyard so they can, when they're changing classes, they can go through that, and which is a safe space because it's an interior courtyard. We've done that. So the kids have, Mr. Escobar actually did that the following day, and that has, the students were talking about how much they like that. So that'll be, the kids will be participating in if they want to go outside for recess. There was another question regarding, the private school, like the increase with the students going to a private school, and if there are any trends or whatnot. So our percentage this current school year is at 16%, which is 53 students going to a private school, which is higher in numbers than the last few years. We also had this current school year, 14 students that came back to us also in the different grade levels. So that we get that every year too, students coming back to us. Typically, we hover around 12 to 13% in terms of, and it also is dependent on class size, that number. There was also a question around the late bus option and whether we can increase the hours of crossing guards, especially as they travel the locations between the library, mostly from the middle school to the library. So we are currently not equipped for the late bus option at this time. And the crossing guard is provided by the village, and they're short-staffed themselves. You'll often see that they have, even on our, for the middle school, the Cherry Valley, we have a police officer there. So it is really, they budget for that, and they're short-staffed at this time. So I think those positions are hard to fill. And this is not new this year either. Every year, I know they go through that at the village level. There was also a question around how are we meeting the needs of students with dyslexia and what specific steps have we taken. So the district, we support our students through various ways in terms of through screening, through the MTSS process, and ensuring that our literacy is aligned to, what the state is telling us it should be aligned to, right? And so we do have universal screening and progress monitoring to identify students who need support early. We provide targeted interventions, and when needed, they do get, they need to be evaluated through special education. But our focus always remains on meeting the instructional needs of all students. We do it that way. There have been some professional development that, Ms. Vivona, Ms. Alonso have led, which is we had one workshop through the Parent University. I know you had done the workshop for our new teachers, and then also there'll be for all staff in January and February within our buildings. We also have, also wanted to mention, we're talking about special education. This month is special education, or I should say, Disabilities Awareness Month. And there was a variety of activities that we had through all of our buildings, and just really bringing about that awareness. And I think there was a short video that Ms. Vivona had put together that we want to show you.
Welcome as we recognize Disability Awareness Month here at Garden City Schools. Welcome as we recognize Disability Awareness Month here at Garden City Schools.
Good morning. December is Disability Awareness Month at the middle school. Everyone has strengths. Some students are great in art, others at building, sports, drama, or pop.
Awareness Month reminds us to focus on what people can do, not what they struggle with.
Our thoughtful, developmental journey builds empathy through experience, spreads a message of inclusion, and celebrates strength and fosters leadership. Activities include This journey begins in primary school by having our youngest learners experience the world differently through hands-on stations. Activities include drawing blindfolded to simulate seeing differently, reading color words and backward sentences, and using oven mitts to simulate fine motor difficulties. In elementary school, we make inclusion a visible daily practice. Our week of action promotes a culture of belonging with theme days like Shine Bright for Inclusion and Walk in Someone Else's Shoes to celebrate differences and kindness. In middle school, we look to build awareness and highlight personal commitment. Through daily education, we learn about non-visible disabilities and the importance of person-first language. We also take an inclusion pledge to commit to acts like being patient and celebrating strengths. At the high school level, our students become the leaders. They organize a student-led event to celebrate neurodiversity, promote inclusion, and deepen understanding. This celebration includes stations focused on artists and musicians with disabilities, media presentations, sports, and sensory exploration. What starts as an activity in December becomes a culture every day, progressing from experience and expression to commitment and leadership throughout the grades.
Like the fact that, we are looking at it.
In
just
Garden
in
City,
December,
we
but
are
throughout
building
the
a
year.
more inclusive
so-
community.
Okay, I also wanted to spotlight, a couple of things. So our social studies teacher, Mr. Zagari, he was recently featured on the Why I Teach podcast. And it was through Miss Schwartz. She's a retired social studies teacher who also hosts at LIU, a radio station, Rockin' History. So both the host and Mr. Zagari, they share the love of both history and teaching. So I'm looking forward to listening to it. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. But the podcast in our high school between Mr. Zagari, Mr. O'Hagan, Mr. Colibus, I have to tell you, I think I have shared some with the board. They are posted. We have a district YouTube channel. They're incredible because our students, they host it, but it's our students that really, especially the ones, the ones that are done here right at our high school. I'll send you a link too, because we just received another one, but they do an excellent job at this. We also have our, here we go. Our library media specialist here at the high school, Margot Calemo, and our retired coordinator for social studies, Jeanette Belantic. They published a book called The Whole School Community Read. And this is really around what we started here at this district. I think it's been here for at least 10 years, I would say, if not longer, that we have the one book, one school. And that has really brought the community together. I mean, I'm sure Kayla could probably speak more about that at the high school level, the experience. But they wrote a book about this, and I'm looking forward to reading the book. Ms. Calemo, she really is a leader, a national leader with some of the work that she leads. So really a force here at our high school. We also have some concerts here we go. Left, but throughout the district, it is probably, and I wish you could go to all the concerts because they are exceptional concerts. There's another one from the middle school. then at the middle school, we had the Attracts Assembly, and this is, it was presented by the MTA Police Department in conjunction with our Garden City Police Department. And the assembly was for all of our students. They're really educating students about railroad track and crossing safety. And these assemblies were, actually, it's the first time we had this assembly, especially with the number of students that cross the Cherry Valley with their bikes. So this assembly was very comprehensive for our students and well received as well. And this is Project Lead. Let me just,
So on the bottom, we put some cardboard, we put popsicle sticks for more support, and then we put some like foam noodles for comfort, and then we did more cardboard and foam for extra comfort and support.
So we attached these little Velcro things, which help it made it more like customizable for the user. If they want to make it like say more tight or more loose, it can give them more like open space.
Well, we drew a prototype on a piece of paper right over here. And then we took that prototype and made it more comfortable, and we also made it so that it can work for the
you know,
students.
we wanted to highlight this because this Project Lead the Way course starts at the middle school and then it goes into our high school. And our teacher, Mr. Semino, he really has done a wonderful job in teaching this course. We were actually, Mr. Escobar and I, we were meeting with middle school students who spoke highly of programs like this that they can take at the high school as well. And he's done a great job with starting this YouTube channel where he posts these videos of our kids. So this is just one example of hands-on learning, that they're creating something and they're learning the design process through this learning. So that was at the middle school. And the last thing at the middle school I wanted to share, this was, I think, the first time we've had the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying. This presentation was done last week and this week, and for our 7th and 8th grade students during their health classes. And these sessions are really designed to help students understand the effects of bullying that includes cyberbullying, its impact on other students. And I just wanted to mention that Todd Wallace, who is the presenter, worked with Nan. Was he the AP when you were at Deer Park?
We were
Assistant principal together. Yeah. Yeah, full circle though, right? But he did a great job. It was very, very well received by our students. And I think this is important work. We also have just to UPK lottery. Dr. Bowman has been working on this, and that'll be in January. We have the postcard that I think we've sent the postcard, Dr. Bowman, or it's in the process. And then we'll have our lottery in January. All the information for our parents, it's on the website, on our district website.
Can you just remind me, how many students are currently in the UPK program? Sorry.
Is it like 140 something? Yeah, but it's around that number, either probably 138 to 140 maybe. Yeah, there you go. But anyway, while we're looking up that number, we're really glad because this program continues to grow.
Yeah.
And, we started out with 2 sections. Now we have 4 different sites.
Yeah.
So, which is really nice.
I was just curious more because they spoke to, at the primary presentation last week, they spoke to that tie-in of UPK and how, there's an impact there.
There definitely is. I mean, for having kids in this program and they're in a full day program, and there is a level of cohesiveness in what's happening between Homestead, Harbor Child Care on both sites, and our Precious Angels here in Garden City. There's been a lot of efforts that really Dr. Bowman has led to ensure that the teaching and learning that's happening is consistent. So we purchased curriculum and things of that nature. So we're very, very pleased with this program. Do you have the number? All right, close. And then we also have our kindergarten registration that begins in January 20th and till the end of the month in January. And that also, the information is on our website. And we'll also put in Garden City News, which we typically do. Okay, and then just some agenda items. We have the calendar, school calendar for next year is on the agenda for adoption. We will put it up on our website right away, so parents have that, as they're making vacation plans, they can look at the calendar. So we'll have that. We also have some policies for first read, and also read for second read and then the adoption. So the ones that are here for the first read is the assignment of students to classes and public conduct on school property. And the policies for adoptions are regular meetings. I think did you want to pull that one off the agenda, the regular meeting? Or you want to have a discussion on it?
Have a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the dismissal precautions regulation, co-curricular and extracurricular activities and student organizations. These will all be on our website. We always put it up there for any public comments. And then, just in terms of a reminder that holiday break is from Wednesday, December 24th through Friday, January 2nd. And we want to wish everyone happy holidays.
I think we just have a quick update from the Board of Education too, just from members of the board.
Mhm.
We just wanted to share that Erin and I attended the most recent joint POA meeting on December 10th. We have been making efforts to attend some of these POA meetings so that we can update the community of the work that's going on in the districts. And Erin, I don't know if you wanted to share some of the feedback or.
Sure. So we appreciate the property owners associations having us come. It's been nice to connect with community members who can't necessarily make a meeting like tonight. Just in, to share some ideas that the community members brought up. It was good to have people ask questions. We're trying to make sure that they are provided with a copy of our Board of Ed highlights. We're trying to get information out there. So some of the ideas that the community members brought up, the importance of public speaking in education and opportunities for high school students to practice that skill. We talked about opportunities for students to have internships and experiences outside the classroom to apply what's being learned and to try a different path. The existence of the Garden City Fire Department Junior Firefighter Program and volunteering for, gaining real world experiences. And then there was discussion about Quest, its existence as a program, the work it does for students. And, you have a wide variety of community members in the audience. So it's really nice to, you have parents whose children are in first and second grade, and then you have community members whose kids have already graduated. So we want to make sure, Dr. Sinha says it a lot, that our schools are the center of our community, and we want to make sure everyone knows what's going on. So it's been really nice to attend these meetings and speak with people.
And just a quick update on some webinars or conferences that we have attended or are coming up on. I attended virtually the Navigating Rocky Legal Waters, so just talking about the tricky spot that our Board of Education is in often, navigating federal legislation and state legislation and how sometimes the two don't necessarily coincide or agree. And then Erin and I are planning to attend the Pathways to Partnerships, where it is a networking opportunity with other Board of Ed members and administrators in other districts on the island to, around exploring collaborative partnerships with businesses. So we wanted to get to know that a little bit more. And then as far as, I don't know if any board members wanted to share any district events or celebrations. I know I attended both middle school performances because I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader, so they were in 2 separate performances. And they were wonderful, and my children both really enjoyed their experience, and the singing was great. So I don't know if there was anyone else that wanted to share anything that they've attended.
I attended the Bobby Menzies Trojan War wrestling tournament, and we won. And that was an astounding win because it was, I don't know, more than a dozen school. Yep.
Any questions from the Board of Education? All right. This is the time period designated for the public to address the board on action items on the agenda or topics concerning the school district. Questions or comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. A maximum of 30 minutes will be set aside for public comment. This will allow the board to complete the agenda, which often has personal or time-sensitive matters. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address. In accordance with this policy, we kindly ask speakers to use their 3 minutes to share all of their questions and comments. The board will wait until the speaker has completed all of their remarks before providing any response. The board and administration are here to listen, and responses will be provided either at a future meeting or by contacting the speaker directly once appropriate follow-up and research has been completed. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Sivan Chapman. So I actually have 3 questions as we speak about Disability Month. I've gone through all the rankings and I've come here a few times. I keep asking about the music therapy program that was provided by a few programs and then taken away. Where do we stand?
I'm just going to wait for you to ask all of your
All
questions.
of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you, Ms.
The other thing was something else that we asked about was, particularly in my child's class, that integrates with 3rd grade. There was a technical issue, electrical issue in the class upstairs where all the 3rd graders are. And they were moved back down during the summer to the 2nd grade wing, and they have to go up and down all day into their classroom rather than it just be fixed. So they're no longer integrated with the classes they're supposed to be. And I would think if this was a gen ed class, it would be fixed. But to have them segregated, the class that goes to only 3rd grade, sit with 2nd grade. So it's been 3 months, nothing's been done.
Which
Well,
building?
actually, it's been 6. Stratford?
Okay, and then you had a last,
Yes.
another question?
And this is just because you guys are probably not aware, but there was a unanimous vote through the New York Assembly that has gone to the Senate, which are voting in January, about students using different devices or communication methods. This includes, sorry, it's so small. This includes sign language and nonverbal gesturals, includes letterboards, AAC, different techniques, and it does require schools to provide direct support staff. So, I mean, this should pass unanimously. It did already. So if you have a child like mine that uses a letterboard, it will need to be acknowledged, provided in the schools, as well as support. Currently, I pay for everything privately, which it is what it is, but then my daughter is not allowed to access it in school, even though she has shown tremendous, insane amount of ability in it, what they're unable to do in school. I take the same homework. I take a video of it. I do it in my house. I have 100% success. In the school, it's maybe about 2%. But she's not allowed to use it as of hopefully January when it goes to Senate. It will pass, just to make aware that this will need to then, be something. I'm sure there's more students coming up and so on, as we have a lot more kids who are nonverbal and use sign language and other things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will have someone follow up with you.
Really, because I've yet to receive follow-ups for the last, 6 months for the other 2 things.
Any other questions or comments? To make more efficient use of our meeting time, the Board of Education authorizes the use of a consent agenda as part of the meeting agenda. A consent agenda allows for one motion to approve multiple items, and such items are identified as such on the agenda. The Vice President of the Board will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda and will ask if board members wish to have a discussion and/or clarification on specific items contained within the consent agenda. Following the discussion, the board will then vote on the consent agenda motion. In addition, a board member may request to have an item removed from the consent agenda in order to vote on the motion separately. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes business of the board, items H1 through H8, personnel matters I1 through I6, business matters, items J1 through J13, and special education matters, K1 through K3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any new business from the board?
No.
Any new business from the administration?
No.
Our future Board of Education meetings, we will be holding a work session on Tuesday, January 13th at 7:30 p.m. and a regular session at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 27th. May I have a motion that being no further business is to come before the board, that the meeting will be adjourned? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.